Hello world, and welcome to the very first Today with Linden Tibbets, IFTTT Founder and CEO. That's me. You can tell by the production quality here, you're in for a real treat. We'd like to do a few quick segments and updates, some of those IFTTT related, some not, and then get you back to your regularly scheduled internet. This first one is a result of $0 in budget, one brainstorm, and about 7 or 8 days of procrastination. But we'd love to get your feedback and iterate and improve over time. Before we jump into our first segment, we'd love to quickly address something that I'm sure is top of mind for so many of you out there, and that's the Black Lives Matter movement. So much has transpired over the last couple of weeks, and we're just now starting to see some of the much needed change. No matter how you're supporting, don't stop. Change is possible, and it's going to happen, but it takes all of us working together to make it possible. This first segment is something we'll call Hot Topics. Don't worry, not all of the segments have 3 T's. Now, whether you've been checking tech Twitter lately or your job involves sitting in front of the computer most of the day, and now because of COVID-19, you're doing all that sitting from home, you've probably heard people talk about remote work. Boy, do people love to talk about remote work. At IFTTT, we're extremely grateful that we are able to take this grand experiment in stride and begin working from home. And we've even decided now to extend that and become a fully remote company. No office. And we're just now starting to grapple with some of those problems that moving from having a common physical location to being fully remote presents. And the biggest of those is that our physical space was such a primary conveyor of culture. And it's not just values on the wall. It was all the little decisions we made over the years in that office that reflected who we were as a team and as an organization. And the big question for us now is, without that common physical setting, how do we continue to build a strong culture? How do we continue to convey what it means to be a part of the IFTTT team? And online collaboration tools have come a long way, but there's no denying that it's hard to be collectively unique when you use them. And trust me, I've seen other companies' Slack channels, and no matter how clever you think your team's use of emoji is, it's not that much different than ours or other people's. And the big question for everybody out there watching is, if you work remotely or your organization is considering it, how do you think about culture and what is the replacement or multiple replacements for how strong a conveyor a physical location can be for your cultural identity? Next up, a little segment we'll call Too Much Data, ? In which we'll address all the data we're creating and the massive problems and opportunities that presents. Our piece of data for today is the fact that I've completed 19 total activities on Strava this month. That's 6.5 hours of running, 2.5 hours of swimming, and 3 hours of biking. May sound like a humble brag, but it's far from it, especially if you've ever seen me huff and puff at a 10-minute mile pace or prance into the bay with my Speedo and beer gut hanging out. So, I've been a 4-year paying Strava customer. I love it. I fully support everything they've done recently to make their premium offering more attractive, even if it's a little bit controversial. And it's one of the reasons I have a high degree of trust in how Strava handles my data. I personally use this data to motivate myself individually and apply a little controlled social pressure to keep getting up in the morning to exercise. But how I use this data is really only scratching the surface for what it could be used for. So let's start with what sounds like some bad use cases. First off, this is amazing data if you're an advertiser, whether it's to help you optimize your targeting or even to figure out what it is I'm interested in the first place. That data can be sold to healthcare providers or sold to insurance companies. It's also, believe it or not, a great indicator for when I'm away from home. That would be amazing data if I'm planning on robbing my house or someone else is planning on robbing my house. Now, except for that robber's part, to be truthful, I'm okay with all of those use cases as long as I'm in control and can clearly see what the benefits are or downsides for myself. Insurance should only be able to lower your rates, for instance. Advertisers should allow me to opt out of what data they use to target me and what advertisers even are allowed to target me. And when this data is anonymized, it can be sold to local governments or municipalities and help them optimize things like where to add bike lanes or what roads to improve next. And that last use case is something that Strava is currently doing. which is super cool. So it's all about control. It's all about transparency. Finally, we'll end with a segment we call Users Are People Too, where we'll highlight and discuss feedback from our incredibly passionate IFT user base, aka people who use IFT. Now, we could have just focused on all the positive reviews and kudos we get here at IFT, but it's far more interesting and important to talk about how we can improve. So today's issue from Hal at Hale Gaming, he states, "Your UX design is terrible. You know the mysterious white circle that holds all the useful options on the site? It's on the white background on the homepage. So not only is it not obvious that the options are all hidden there, it's literally hidden on the page." So first off, he's totally right. It's probably the result of not being able to find a profile photo that's linked from his social network, Facebook, Instagram, something like that. We're looking into it and fixing it, and we appreciate the feedback. When I responded to him, he also apologized for the snark, but he didn't need to do that at all. It's good feedback, and good feedback should hurt. Thank you, Hale. If you have any good feedback for us, lob it our way, snark, expletives, and all. So that's all we have for you today, folks. So thanks for tuning in, and for myself and our entire studio crew, thanks, and see you next time.